Hello everyone, my name is Prashant. Today let's discuss some differences between EBS and Fusion. So there are many differences, but around 25, more than 25 differences we will be discussing today. So let's start the first one. EBS started somewhere around in 1990s, and it started with the version with 7 version 654. Although I will say in 87 the version 1 came, release 1. So I have posted a blog, so you can go through the entire detail of the journey of EBS. And Fusion came up near to 2010-11. It was declared that in September 2010, but it was actually launched in 2011. In EBS, we have latest version as release 2.13, which was launched in 2023, and the latest version in Fusion, which is our release 13, is 24A, which goes as per the year and quarter. Uh, this was the on-premises product. Client need to buy the servers and entire infrastructure, and they have to maintain themselves. But in cloud, we have SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. But if you just talk about SaaS, everything is managed by Oracle, and you just get a login, and you are good to go. We have some system administrator roles, responsibility, something which we can maintain. So we used to call it a system administrator role. Here we have security console, from where we control all these aspects to assign a role to create a user that is controlled using security console. In Fusion, we give the security based on the responsibility. So it was kind of responsibility based architecture. We have various responsibilities, and which can be done, which I should say, which acts as a security implementer, because we have various profile options. On the profile options, we can put these responsibility names, and we can say whether it is allowed for this responsibility or that access is allowed or not. But here it came as a role concept. In Fusion, we just have roles. We need to assign the roles, and okay, it will come as a data access part. So we have the org structure, we have the multi-org structure, MOAC we used to call it. In Fusion, we have enterprise structure, where we can just have single enterprise. Uh, we need to create these responsibility wise, which means if one org responsibility we are allowing to access multiple orgs, so that comes as a security, but that is implemented on responsibility. We have to do some setups, then we have to go to various responsibilities, that procurement responsibility, then we go to its setup, we go to payable responsibility, then we go to its setup. But here we have functional setup manager, where in Fusion we have functional setup manager. We just select the offering, and under that offering we can complete all setups using this FSM, functional setup manager screens. We have iSetup module in EBS to quickly do the setup and migrate the setup from one instance to another. Then in Fusion, we have export and import of the configurations. We have, for few of the configurations, we have direct CSV export import, that is done from the FSM and action, that this particular task you can export and update the Excel sheet and then import it. So the setup can be created. Similarly, we have certain CSV on the mapping sets. We have some ADFDI for certain setups, like if we have to put that uh, currency conversion, we have ADFD kind of thing. For few of the setups, if we want to migrate, we have FBDI. So we have export and import configuration. So here we call it as web ADI for the active Excels. In Fusion, we call ADFDI. And FBDI are the files which generates club of CSV files, and we load data. So this is large data loading concept. We use FBDI in Fusion. In your EBS, we used to write all the queries, all the conversion programs. In Fusion, we already have conversion programs, and we used to get FBDI, standard FBDIs from Oracle, and then we can fill it and we can upload it. upload the data. There was a concept of personalization, form personalization was there, or the custom.pll. We used to do that file for, we use that file for personalization in EBS. In Fusion, we have Sandbox, and even VBCS is coming nowadays to customize the look and feel and the restrictions that we want to impose on the page. Reports and analytics from instance, and I should say this, we don't have in here. I have mentioned it that Toad SQL developer not there, exclamation. It means it, we don't have any Toad or SQL developer here in Fusion. uh, Reports and analytics from instances, so this is a miss. It should come from this side and should come here, that EBS have Toad SQL developer, and reports and analytics we get it from instance itself. As we discussed, it have responsibilities and profile options. Here in Fusion, we have data access, roles, functional roles, data access and roles for functional security. We have some privileges as well to have the data security. But here we have to use the concept of responsibility and control it by profile options. We have Java forms. Java means OAF and then FMB forms. Here we have ADF and Web Center in Fusion. Standard accrual, standard encumbrance is same. It's concept wise. Encumbrance concept is exactly same as we were having it in EBS. Then moving to next slide, we used to have Discoverer. Here we have BIP for report extraction. We used to have chart of account structure. We have chart of account structure. Along with that, we have the structure instance as well. That means if we are going to create some chart of account structure and we want to utilize its different instances, we can have that. And that instance can have less number of segments. In EBS, we don't have any option of internal communication. But now recent launch in Fusions gives some Teams. We can utilize Teams app to communicate within the between the users, and that Teams chat will be recorded as a permanent communication record with Fusion. We have financial statement generator in EBS, and we have FAH or Financial Reporting Center in Fusion. WebADI, data loader, SQL scripts were used in EBS for data loading. Here we use FBDI, ADFDI, even HDL kind of thing. I can say spreadsheet loader. So all those things come in Fusion. Dashboards, infolets, infotiles are part of Fusion. We were not having those things in EBS. AME and workflow builder. So AME is the GUI and workflow is something a technical guy was used to change something. So these were the approval workflow concept in EBS. In Fusion, we have BPM. Or I should say in FSM as well, we can do some configuration, and BPM as well, we can do the approval configurations. We have to do the manual upgrades in EBS as yearly release, or in 2 3 years client used to plan that okay, upgrade will also be a kind of project. But here we used to get a quarterly upgrade. So when we get the quarterly upgrade, it's by default you are on the latest version every quarter. We were having the concept of concurrent programs and reports that we used to execute. Same thing, we call it as ESS job here, and we have job sets as well. We used to submit the request, and here we say schedule the process. We used to have KFF and DFF in EBS. We have KFF and DFF, but we have one more concept of extensive flex field. Key flex field, descriptive flex field were there in EBS. Less number of key flex fields came from EBS to Fusion. And then we have DFF concept as it is, and they have introduced one EFF concept as well, where you can have the entire page and you can have as many as fields on that page. We support.oracle.com, we earlier used to call it as Metalink in EBS time. Now it has been converted to support.oracle.com. Earlier, we were having the integrated costing engine. Here in Fusion, we perform the transaction separately, then transfer all the transactions to costing process, and then all the costing is calculated in that costing environment. So all the programs like transfer transactions from receiving to costing, inventory to costing, maintenance to costing, cost management to costing. So all those things are newly introduced. The way of costing is entirely different, which was the in EBS it was integrated costing. As soon as you do some transaction, receiving transaction processor used to get executed, and it in background it executes the costing part as well. So in EBS we have inbound outbound interface. We used to develop using the interface by SOA, and we used to have the OF pages. We have the FMBs. In Fusion we have FBDI, SOAP, web services, ADFDI, SQL query, BI, and here we have OIC, VBCS, and PCS. In Fusion, we have OIC, VBCS, PCS. OIC for integration, VBCS for pages, and PCS for notifications. So all those. This is a short description, or I should say, few of the topics that we can say we have the difference between EBS and our Fusion. So thank you.